What's going on, good folks? It's your main man, Rick the Dawn. Hey, so I know what we're here for, right? We're here to talk about Zingbot. Yeah, it was a sight for sore eyes. I was so happy to see this version of Zingbot. It seems like Zingbot goes through these different iterations, and I would have to say, well, first off, I'll ask you, um, how did you feel about this version of Zingbot? Um, I don't know. Anyway, before I jump into all my rants and debates, I would say that this episode is brought to you by the Really Hood podcast. Woohoo! All right, so if you like my takes, then most likely you will enjoy some of my takes on culture and sports and politics, all the things that I talk about on my podcast. Go check it out. It is available everywhere. Also, this podcast is brought to you by my fashion clothing line, my fashion brand, which is brokenheartshirts.com. That's where I can make these really cool shirts. Go check it out. It is free to browse. But anyway, wait. My fault. Hey, shout out to the amazing people who like this video. Thank you. But yeah, so I didn't look, I like Zingbot, but this season's Zingbot was a little mild, in my opinion. And I know I'm not the only person who feels that way because Zingbot over the years has been um just very mean. Very mean. It's almost like Zingbot is afraid of being canceled. Can you believe it felt to me this season felt like Zingbot was afraid of being canceled, so he just took it light on everyone. But the overarching theme of this episode is who got zinged the worst. All right, I'll get to that, but let's first start off with a recap. All right, so this episode starts with a montage of players voicing the need to get rid of Michael. Who's surprised by this? The entire cast is now aiming at Michael. It's about time. They only waited till the bottom seven. Isn't it the bottom seven? I think they waited a little long for this. I mean, the man has won an insane amount of competitions. 3 HOHs in one season is insane, right? And countless numbers of vetoes. So yeah, it's about time, Cass. I think everyone is finally starting to figure it out. I mean, Daniel has been telling them this from like the beginning of the season. So what can I say? Brittany acknowledges the need for Michael to win and how if the house can't get Michael, they can get her. So Brittany does point out something very obvious that if Michael doesn't win everything because he's so crucial to her game, it could also spell issues for her. She also kind of points out that um, if Michael is safe, she could also be collateral damage because they can't get to Michael, they'll get to her. Long story short, she's feeling the need for Michael to win out. She's feeling, the heat. Like Michael has to win everything because, quite frankly, that's the only way that she's 100% safe because Michael will not, under any circumstance, at least right now, will not take any shots at her. And actually, I would argue that Michael intends to take her to the finals because he knows she can't win at all against him. All right. So he has someone who he can beat very easily right by his side. And even better than that, she's willing to do just about anything that he's asked to this point. So hey, I don't know. This is gonna be interesting. But Michael promises not to take shots at Turner. Now, this is a very interesting part of this episode. I'm not sure how I feel about this, and I am definitely curious to know how you feel. Um, do you feel like Michael is making a critical mistake here? And we won't know, for sure, without any doubt until the end of the season. But I would argue that Michael is making a huge mistake by not targeting Turner. Look, I understand all these little friendships. I understand bonds. And I don't know why Michael at this point is choosing to play this role of, sticking by your word. Michael is a honest player. I will give him that, but I don't know if he's been a honorable player. I think it's a difference there. You can be honest, but he's taken some. He's backdoored people. He's blindsided individuals. So he hasn't played the most honorable game, in my opinion. So why he's sticking to this honor code at the worst possible time, I can't tell you that I agree with it. I think it's a terrible decision not to go for Turner. And if you know the game like I do, then I'm pretty sure you agree. Is like, hey man, put that to the side. And I think Michael's rationale for it is if he does target Turner right now and gets Turner out, it could actually do a lot of damage to his game once it gets down to the jury house. If Michael goes back on his word, that would be something that Turner can use against him. So from that aspect, I do understand where Michael's coming from, but I think that he's overestimating how powerful Turner's word might be with in this regard. In fact, I think a lot of people would respect Michael's move for getting Turner out and say, "Hey, you got one of the biggest or the best players out the game." Even though Turner might be salty and might not give Michael his vote, I believe everybody else would. So it's my opinion that he might be oversighting Turner's. I don't know. I just think he's making a bad decision here by not targeting Turner. All right. Brittany admits she's happy to be best friends with Michael, and at this point, you kind of cringe a little bit because you like to think that Brittany is playing her own game and that, for the most part, she doesn't really know that she's a floater. But I hate to tell you, Brittany knows exactly what she's doing. She knows she's a floater. She understands that she can't win this game without Michael, and I was a little disappointed in that. I thought that maybe Brittany was naive to the fact that she's pretty much riding Michael's coattails. And no, she knows. She's pretty aware of it. She makes it very clear. Okay. Anyway, Alyssa shows emotion about voting Kyle out. This was surprising for me because last week Alyssa did not come to the aid of Kyle. She was pretty heartless, in my opinion, when it came to all the finger pointing that he received. She didn't seem to care then. So obviously it was very weird to see her care now. She breaks down on several occasions. And she also brings something to my attention, being one that doesn't watch the live feeds. She brings something to my attention, and that is she admits to the cameras that her and Kyle had panned things out before he left. I didn't know that. Okay. Let me know in the chat if you knew that already, especially if you watch the feeds. But I didn't know that. And um that was interesting. I thought that they were pretty much done for because all the edited version of the show was Kyle and Alyssa having this argument, or not argument, more or less like a disagreement in which Alyssa is throwing Kyle to the curb or kicking him to the curb. But no, it more happened than that. It was a conversation had at some point where they decided to keep things intact. And I think Alyssa pointed it out this way. She said that we'll reconvene after the show and see where things are. I didn't even think Kyle had that much rapport with Alyssa. I thought he was pretty much done for. So that happens. Anyway, Alyssa says that she and Kyle made amends before he left. Monty notes that Michael has to slip one time. Okay, this is an interesting part in the show. In this episode, Monty has to be, of all the cast members, the number one person gunning for Michael. And he makes a very interesting comment and says that Michael only needs to slip one time. Okay. And he's 100% correct. Michael has to slip one time, just one time, and he is out of there. So Monty makes that known. And, it's good to know that at least one player said that. Now, of course, more players may have been thinking it. They've probably alluded to it. They said some things around with it, but Monty made it very explicit. If Michael slips one time, doesn't win one time, whether that be a HOH or a veto, he's done for. All right. Then Zingbot appears. All right. So we fast forward to the Zingbot portion of the show. And I have to ask you this: who got the worst zing? That's the theme of this episode. Who got hit the worst? Now I've already made my points very clear, how I felt very clear. I'm not sure that I think Zingbot brought his best material, but he certainly still brought some heat though. I'm not saying he was just cold. I'm arguing that he was lukewarm. Let me know if you think he was really hot though. Do you think Zingbot really hit people below the belt? To kind of sum up what Zingbot said about everybody, I would say that for Terrence, he called him old. All right, he called Terrence old for the most part. For Michael, he called him ugly. That was pretty rough. He called him ugly. For Monty, he called him boring. All right, I didn't think Zingbot. I didn't know how to feel about that when I was like, okay, so Monty's boring. I did. Is that how people feel? I didn't know that. I'll be honest with you. He made a crazy joke about Brittany's eyes. I was like, oh snap! I didn't think he was gonna go there. Brittany does get really excited. Eyes does or do open pretty wide. Not something that I really noticed, but I will argue that once you hear Zingbot say it, you can't unsee it. So every time after Zingbot says that, I'm looking at her eyes. I'm like, oh snap! It's like it's pretty crazy. Anyway, he calls Turner smelly. says that he doesn't take showers, which is crazy. Um, and I forget what he said about Taylor. I need someone to let me know. What did he say about Taylor? I heard it. I was there. I heard it, but it just didn't resonate. It didn't stick with me. He said something about her, and it just I cannot remember what he said about Taylor. For like, I just can't remember. I want to remember it, trust me, but I don't remember. Um, Here's who I picked to be the individual who got the worst zing by Zingbot, and it is Alyssa. I had no clue he would go this crazy on Alyssa. He called her useless. He said some. He called her useless, dude. Like that's pretty rough. He kept what did he say about her? He said something to the effect that she's like a winter coat in the desert, useless. Zing! I was like, oh snap. You coming like that? You doing that, Zingbot? So yeah, I think he was pretty lukewarm. But when he was hot with that one though. So anyway, that's just my opinion. Who got the worst zing? Now I say that Alyssa got the worst zing because immediately after she heard it, she fell out. And then later in the show, she breaks down in tears, like, "Am I really useless?" Like, it was bad when the player who got the zing is feeling the residual effects of it. Like the zing bot portion is over, and they're still feeling it. And in fact, they've been galvanized by it. They're trying to make big moves now. Like, I'm not you. They're trying to prove it wrong. Like that's when it was bad, right? But anyway, who got the worst zing? Let me know what you think about that. I think it was Alyssa. Anyway, the house guests come together and discuss ways to get rid of Michael. So that happens. Finally, the house guest is trying to figure out a way to get this Jargonaut off the game. If they don't do that, this guy runs away with the game very easily. And unfortunately, Brittany is not on board with the discussions. She refuses the plot. She's not with the plan whatsoever. And who's surprised? I'm not. All right. But anyway, we go on a commercial break, come back. Brittany is for some reason performing a hypnosis on Alyssa. She has Alyssa in a chair as if Alyssa is at a therapy session, and she's performing some type of hypnosis on her, probably trying to help her forget that zing by Zingbot. that's what I think. But anyway, it was hilarious to see that Alyssa didn't like freak out over the fact that Brittany is performing hypnosis on her. I just thought that was a little strange. I mean, if I'm in a game of strategy, I'm not letting my opponent perform hypnosis on me, but different strokes for different folks. But anyway, Terrence tells Michael what happened at Dire Fest, but Michael sees through it. So at some point, Terrence goes to talk with Michael, and they're, basically he's trying to save face and trying to create some sort of trying to just figure out what Michael is and how he's feeling about everything. And he's telling him a watered down version of things that happened at Dire Fest because to this point, Michael still has not been, made aware of all the things that took place outside. Michael appears to be someone who's omnipresent. He knows a lot about the game as if he's everywhere, but for some reason, he still doesn't have a strong grip about what happened or what took place in Dire Fest. So he's, pretty much looking and trying to find answers. And Terrence gives him a very watered down version of what took place. Unfortunately, Michael doesn't buy it. He's like, something's missing because Michael is that kind of person. He's an attorney. So he knows when he's listening to a story, like, wait a minute, I hear A, B, and D, but I'm missing C. So that's what happens there. Michael is looking for reasons to target Turner, but Terrence is onto Michael's manipulation. So this was a great game of, spy versus spy. All right. Again, Terrence has shown that he's relatively intelligent when it comes to strategy. So, Michael was trying to get information from him. Terrence knows that he's trying to get information from him, and he's not giving him much information. And Michael knows that he's not getting a lot of information. So it's like they're playing this really weird game of spy versus spy. And for whatever reasons, Terrence is not trying to give him much. He even notes that or says in the episode that, hey, I know what you're trying to do, Michael, but I will not, give up my boy Turner. So for whatever reason, and this is crazy to me as well, for whatever reason, Terrence is protecting Turner, if you can believe that. He's not giving up information about Turner. And it's insane because what Terrence doesn't quite realize is by not doing so, he's not helping he's not helping his own situation out because you can tell I got a vibe that Michael was trying to find reasons to put Turner up. Now he has this weird obligation to Turner, but I still felt as if he's looking for reasons to protect. I mean, he's looking for reasons to take a shot. But whatever reason, Terrence is protecting Turner, and I think that's a terrible decision on Terrence's part. I understand being honorable and being friends or what have you, but this is a game for $750,000. So forget the friendship, dude. Tripping. But anyway, Michael is looking for reasons. Alyssa breaks down over Zingbot comments, so that does happen. She breaks down. She's crying. She's visibly shaken by what Zingbot says to her or about her, and she's pretty much wondering, is she really useless? Shia, yikes. Okay, that's why I say Alyssa got the word Zingbot right there. All right, Alyssa reveals the pound to Michael. Michael is not impressed. So this happens. Alyssa goes to Michael's room and she's trying to save face. She is trying to garner some kind of rapport with Michael. So she reveals the pound. All right. She reveals the pound to Michael. And Michael being the kind of player he is, he already knew about the pound. However, he did not know the name of the alliance. So he is not really impressed with this information. He notes that in his diary room confession, like, hey, Alyssa, I really appreciate you giving me this information, but I already knew about it. You're a little bit too late. The only thing I didn't know is I didn't know the name. So he kind of points that out and says that. But anyway, Michael is struggling to target Turner, even though he understands that Turner is a massive threat to his game. He is struggling with the idea of going back on some weird promise that he makes to Turner. Wow, I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand that. Just thought like, hey, Mike, you've played probably the perfect game to this point. I don't know if a player as strong as Michael has made it this far in a long time. Someone who's won 8 plus 9 competitions in the game, 3 HOHs, has made it this far. You're really putting your game in the balance for a weird promise. Look, I'm not sure that if Turner wins, he's going to hold himself to the same criteria. I just think Michael, if Michael does not win, this will be why. All right, he didn't take out Turner when he had the opportunity. Unlike some of the other players in the house, Turner actually has the capacity to win a HOH. I can understand, not being afraid of Taylor, Alyssa, Turner. I mean, Terrence rather. Maybe even some of these players are very what's the word I'm looking for? They're not as prone to win HOHs. So I understand that. But Turner to me feels a little different. I feel like Turner, he's about due for a second. I do feel like Turner is a 2-time HOH winner. He will win another one. I do feel that way. And Michael being a super player, him not knowing that to me is just very surprising. So that happens. Anyway, Terrence laughs during Michael's nomination. So at some point we fast forward to the nominations and Michael is reading his nominations for the week. And he puts up Alyssa and Terrence. And he's pretty much breaking down why he felt as if those two individuals needed to go on the block. And to my surprise, and probably one of the first times I've ever seen something like this, Terrence interrupts Michael and just calls his moves and his rationale for putting him up BS. He says that while Michael is talking. And you can't really tell when you're watching the edited version, like, okay, is that loud enough for Michael to hear? You can't really tell. But apparently it is because after Terrence says, and that's some BS. After he says that, Michael stops. He stops his whole speech. So apparently, it had to be loud enough where everyone heard it. And I just like, dude, what, really? Like that's what it. Okay, all right. That's going to help you get some sympathy, I guess. I don't know, but apparently it's loud enough where everyone stops. Michael throws shot at Terrence driving a bus. So this was very crazy because once Terrence interrupts Michael and calls his move or his rationale BS for putting him on the block, they cut to Michael's diary room confession, and Michael was like, he says something to the effect of, "Hey Terrence, I don't want to throw you under the bus, but you are a bus driver," something like that. Okay, and it was like, ooh, okay, we're going there. We're talking about occupations, and it was surprising to hear him go for that. To me, that was a low blow because it is the I don't know how much bus drivers make, but I think we can all agree that they don't make as much as attorneys. Is that safe to say? And it felt like a moment in which Michael was looking down on Terrence, and that was surprising to me because he played this woke BB wizard, where he's like trying to protect people from white alliances and all this kind of stuff. So to go from that one week and then to say, hey, you're the bus driver, the next week was it was weird to me, and it felt like, okay, Mike, now I know that was a gameplay move to expose Kyle's whole white alliance concept. Bunny ears on that, by the way. But that happens. All right. Brittany fears Turner. So Brittany, they do cut to Brittany and her diary room confession, in which she confesses that she is brutally afraid of Turner. She seems to be the voice of reason between the Bonnie and Clyde alliance. That's what I call them in my head. The Bonnie and Clyde alliance between her and Michael. But usually where Michael was able to, well, I should say, usually when Brittany is able to get through to Michael and help him see things that he might miss, this time it doesn't seem to be the case. But nevertheless, Brittany is verbally and very openly afraid of Turner and what he poses in terms of a threat. And for some reason, Michael is not adhering to it. But I will say this: I do believe that if either Terrence or Alyssa come down off the block for whatever reason, it is my opinion that Michael would be smart enough to take a shot at Turner. And that's the question for anybody listening. Do you think that Michael is playing possum here? Do you think that he truly is going to waste his HOH on Alyssa or Terrence? Is that really something that you believe will happen? Or do you believe that he's going to try and backdoor Turner should he have the opportunity? All right, so me first, I'll say I personally believe that Michael is playing possum. He could not possibly think that it would be smart to waste an entire week in which next week he has no protections outside of being selected for the veto competition. He doesn't really have any protections. His biggest protection is Brittany winning the HOH. Yeah. Okay. So in other words, he has zero protection. And you mean to tell me he's not going to take out the one person that is guaranteed to fire a shot at him? It also surprised me that he did not take a shot at Monty. I felt like Monty and Terrence. I'm sorry, I keep saying Terrence, dude. But I felt like Monty and Turner were easily the two candidates to go on the block. To target Alyssa, like, what is to Terrence? Like, I didn't get that. I mean, I think being the super fan that Michael is, those two people get the least amount of blood on your hands, but at the same time, they make the least amount of waves in the house. And I don't think I don't see a scenario where he doesn't take a shot at a Monty or Turner by the end of the week. That'd be surprising to me. I will say that. All right. Anyway, we find out from someone in the house, I think it was Julie or maybe even the commentator, that the next competition, I think it's the veto competition, will be BB Comics. And if I know myself, it is a great opportunity or a great chance that the freaking veto competition has already happened and everybody knows who won. And I'm the only person who doesn't. I mean, on the entire planet Earth, I'm the only person who doesn't have an ear to the feeds, who doesn't watch the feeds. So I'm not the veto competition has already probably happened, right? And I'm the only one who doesn't know that Michael won the veto. But no, I'm just kidding. I am excited about the veto competition. I'm not sure if it's taking place yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if it has, or wouldn't surprise me if it doesn't happen soon. So if you know who won, by the time you find, I mean, I would like to know if you know, like, help me out. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I'm going to the comments. Dr. Juwan, same. I can't remember the zings exactly. Dr. Juwan, I was saying the same. I thought that the zings were very, look, they were not comparable to some of the things I've heard in the past. I felt like Zingbot was a little off. So here's my opinion. I think that when it comes to the robot, they hire comedians each season to play Zingbot. There was one year, whoever they had do, I don't think it's the same person every year. Let me know if you know more about that. If you know like who plays Zingbot, is it the same person? Because the reason I think it's a different person every year is because the intensity of the zing. Sometimes they're like pretty subtle or lukewarm, but then sometimes they're like just vicious. So it's like I don't. It's hard for me to think that there's one person doing the zings when they seem to vary so wildly. This year was very very like lukewarm, and I was like, yeah, that wasn't it. That wasn't it for me, and that was really disappointing. People look forward to Zingbot, and this version of Zingbot wasn't the best in my opinion. But I will still say, in terms of hurting feelings and things like that, Alyssa got the worst of it all. That is my personal opinion. But anyway, Brittany is such a sheep, man. So Brittany, I'm with you on that, Dr. Juwan. I felt like Brittany is look, at some point, I'm gonna have to give her credit and say she's playing the perfect game. Look, she has not done much. She hasn't won little to nothing, right? I don't even think she's won a veto. Let me know if I'm wrong about that. But it's my understanding that Brittany has not won an HOH or a veto. I mean, and she's in the top, like the top seven. I'll bend my tongue. How does that calculate? I don't. How does that compute? Like she doesn't win anything, and I would be hard pressed to call her a social threat. I just don't see her as that either. I don't. You know, her biggest contribution to the game has been hiding under the wing of Michael. I'm sorry. And the crazy part is, as if that wasn't enough, people love Brittany. I've there's some people who hate her. I've seen those comments, but people generally like her. And and listen, I don't dislike her. I'm just saying from a gameplay perspective, I'm not sure she deserves $750,000 for the game of Big Brother. I feel like that would be a crime to the game of Big Brother to allow a player who is floated as much as Brittany to win. I'm sorry. Look, this is not personal. This is all game. And for me, her game has just been lackluster. And I don't know if I'm wrong in saying that. I just don't. Anyway, what's up, Diva? That's my girl, man. I love her. DV313, what's up? She in the house, Detroit in the house. All right, Michael won the power of it. Come on, Dr. Juwan. Are you serious? Are you just playing? Are you serious? Michael won the power veto? Hold up. All right, Brittany won the power veto during the split house twist. All right, wait. Are you kidding? Are you serious? I can't even tell at this point. Yeah, I don't even know who won the power veto. Don't tell me that Michael won the power veto, Dr. Juwan. I'm not playing Michael won the POV. I'm so annoyed. Oh, he won the POV? Wow. Okay. What the Okay, Dr. Juwan, what did he do with the veto? Like did he keep it the same? Did they show that part yet? Has that not been aired yet? Let me know. What's up? So Michael won the freaking veto? He didn't use it yet? Okay, he didn't use it yet. Okay. Not aired. Okay, cool. Dr. Jawan, just want to say you were amazing. So yeah, so now that's the first time I've heard of it. I haven't been in my Facebook groups. Usually I'm like tapped in and I've been working on one of my websites, so I haven't really been on the internet at all, really. Yeah, I thank you. I appreciate it. But that's crazy. So that just changes my whole perspective. I hate when I learn stuff late. I'm like the only person who never know anything, man. It's like it's crazy. But it's just a different era, man. Like I remember nobody knew what was happening. And it was just like you had to watch the show to see what was going on. I mean, we're at a point in the game where you can watch the live feeds, not even watch the show, and know more about the game than people that's watching. So we just in a different era, and I just gotta uh just come to grips with that. But and I also remember there was no live feeds at one point. You didn't know what was going on. So this is crazy. So Mike won again. What? This is insane, dude. Okay, can we all just agree that he is probably apart from winning the whole thing, he had okay, I'm gonna say it. It's hard for me to say this without the game being over, but no, I can't say. I'm not going to say he's the best of all time, but I'm going to say he is the best non-winner of Big Brother of all time. Like I think you have to say that at this point. Now, if he wins, he's the best of all time by a large margin. I don't even think it's close. But apart from him winning, he's the best player, not the best non-winning player of all time right now as we speak. Yes, he's better than Janelle. Yes, yes. This Janelle didn't dominate her season like this. And you also have to remember that like Michael he's safe right now. So he's guaranteed top six or better. This is the best player not to win the game of all time. And if he wins, dude, this guy he's insane. Like I can't even he's tied Janelle's count win record. Dr. Jawan, don't get me wrong on this, okay? But I heard that he was tied with her 2 wins ago. Okay, I need someone to fact check me, but I saw online that 2 wins ago, before he wins the HOH and before he wins this veto, obviously, he was tied with her 2 wins ago. Because what I'm seeing happen is every time he wins, someone says he's tied with Janelle, and it's like no, he can't keep being tied with Janelle. I heard he was tied with her 2 wins ago, and and you got to also remember Janelle played the game more than once, so. we're not going to count all her seasons and combine her numbers cumulatively, right? So I've heard, and I could be wrong, and I'm only a Google search away from finding out the answer, but I heard 2 wins ago he was tied with her, and if that is true, he's won two since that. So I need someone to help me on that one. All right. Um, isn't Janelle's record based off one season? I would imagine so, but I do know that she played more than one season. I do know that, and she was a monster on all of them. But in terms of the if you're going to base it off one season, she didn't win as much. She didn't win as much. I think she won 7 comps. Michael is like at 9 or 10 by this point. So, like I said, I think that they were tied at one point, but Michael, he's blown her out. Yeah. And fact check me on that, please do, and let me know. Not a Big Brother aficionado. I'm not all annoying, but I've heard that he's passed her by a large margin by now, like about 2 or 3 comps. So let me know on that. Personally, I think Cody from BB All Stars is the best of all time because he won so many comps, never touched the block once, and won unanimously. Oh, yeah, okay. I have to give you respect on that. I have to give you respect on that. I'm not going to argue against that. I wouldn't argue against Cody or Derek. I would not argue against those two. But what I'm saying is, from my own personal, the universe that my brain operates in, if Michael were to win, he would be the best of all time for me. Um, I don't know. I just never seen a player be a threat, this big of a threat, win this many competitions. Because even with Cody, he won a lot, but he didn't break records in terms of, like, he wasn't a record breaking. You know what I mean? He didn't break records with his comp wins. But I will say that Cody, he had a swagger about himself that just got, that was just contagious. And the fact that no one saw that was insane. And I don't know. I gotta look. I didn't even know Cody won BB All Star. So like I said, I'm not like the hugest, like, I'm not a super duper fan, where I'm like, I know all the Wikipedia type of information. I forgot Cody won. Like, once the season is about 3 years old, I forgot it. I forgot everything. I need to go back and, like, watch a episode or look at a Wikipedia to keep up with it. But I do know Cody was a monster, and then also I would factor in the fact that Cody played more than once. So for me, having the opportunity to play more than once would still put him behind Michael if Michael won, because Cody, if I'm not mistaken, please let me know if I'm wrong. Cody didn't win his first season. So for me, if Michael wins his first season at this clip, I'm putting Mike in front of him. And I'm okay with putting for me, Cody, if he won, and I'm pretty sure he did, because Dr. Joanna, you appear to be more knowledgeable than I am about this game. I would still put him probably third or fourth. It's a lot of good players in the game. Dr. Will, you got some real dogs out there. Did Dan win? I feel like Dan won, right? One season, didn't he? Or am I wrong about Dan? Because I know that Dan was a heck of a player, but I can't remember if he won. All right, here we go. Let me see. Michael would have been a potential best of all time if he didn't use the Kyle comments as a strategic move. All right, all right. So we holding that against him. And you know what? I'm right there with you. I thought that was very distasteful. I'm gonna be honest with you, because those type of statements can impact a person's life outside the game, and I would not hold it against anyone for holding that comment or those statements against Michael. For me, though, I would not, because it was strategy. I hate to say that. Um, Very disgusting strategy, I would admit, but it's dog eat dog in this game, and in the game for $750,000. Some of it was Kyle's fault, in my opinion. For one, he backstabbed his whole alliance the week prior, and that's just like a big brother no, right? And then you got to be careful what you say to anybody, especially a player like Michael, who's a freaking attorney, right? But he doesn't know that. Kyle doesn't know that. But in the big brother game, anything that you say can be used against you. So Kyle lacked that form of awareness, and I'm sure he had no idea that Michael would even think or conceive an idea of such. But it's still Big Brother. It's almost like football, or soccer, what have you. And a player knocks a player unconscious. As bad as that is, it's still a game, and that comes with the game. So for me, I wouldn't hold it against Michael, but I think it does show a lack of morality, when it comes to Michael. So I wouldn't hold that against anybody else who held it against him, if that makes sense. If Kyle never said those comments, Michael or one of his best allies leave. Yeah, possibly, right? Cody could have been a two-time winner if he had clipped Derek. So if I'm not mistaken, now that you're starting to revive some memories for me, Dr. Jawan. So if I'm not mistaken, Cody got to the final with Derek and then won. That's a heck of a record. That's a heck of a record. If he got to the final twice, that's insane. I got to go do my fact checking because I don't remember the BB All Star season. I'm just being honest. But if he did, I remember him getting to the final with Derek. I do remember that, but I didn't know he played again. And in fact, it's funny because I probably watched the entire season, but I still forgot. But that's pretty special. If he went to the finals twice, they knew he was a threat, and they still let him get to the finals. That'd be insane. I got to check that because if so, that doesn't make me look at Cody differently. But I still would remain. I would still hold to the fact that Michael did it on his first try. But I don't even think it's worth having the conversation. I don't see a way that he makes it to the finals because he has some heavy hitters gunning for him. If Taylor wins, Michael goes home. If Monty wins, Michael goes home. If Turner wins, I believe that Michael goes home. If Alyssa or Terrence win, I think that Michael goes home. Only because now that Terrence and Alyssa are on the block, I would argue that they would feel like they have the ammo to shoot back at Michael at that point. I think the only player that will protect Michael is Brittany. That's just my opinion. So I don't see him making it that far. I mean, as great as Michael is, and trust me, he's pretty good. I don't think he's going to win every competition. And I think it's also worth noting the reason he's winning so much is because the competition it's just not that good. Look, Turner and Monty both are pretty good, right? Turner, I think Turner won 2 HOHs. Now that I think about it, I know Monty only won one. But besides Turner and Monty, who else is there really to concern yourself with? Taylor won a HOH, but that was so long ago. Terrence doesn't win. He won. He had a really strong week. I'm going to give him credit for that week. I've been like trying my best to. He had a good week, but outside of that, nothing much. Brittany, from my understanding, I heard she won a veto, but I'm like, I don't remember that. Somebody said that to me. I'm like, she did. I don't remember that. So yeah, and Alyssa hasn't won anything at all. I know that part because I feel like if Alyssa has power, she's going to act a nut, but she hasn't won anything. So I don't know. It could be the competition that's making Michael look so good, but who knows? I don't know. All right. Yeah. Oh, so yeah, Dan won. Yeah, Dan was good. I remember Dan being really really special. I don't remember the season because after about three years passed, I just kind of flush it for the new content. But I do remember how I felt watching Dan play because you never forget feelings. You know what I mean? So for me, I remember the feeling of watching Dan play. Like this guy is super brilliant in this game. So apparently he won. Yeah. But what do you think? Who got the worst zing? Are you excited about what's coming forth? Does Michael use the veto? These are big questions that I'm looking forward to seeing the answers to. And with that being said, I'm going to close this one, but I'm going to open up one more and just have a conversation about what may come after tonight. But thank you all for kicking it with your main man, Rick the Dawn, and I'll be back in a moment. Peace. Wait, hold up. Alyssa Def got the worst zing. Yeah, yeah, Dr. Jawan. I'm right there with you. Yeah, terrible. Yeah, that was bad. Anybody, it doesn't feel good to be called useless at any point in your life by anybody, especially a robot for crying out loud. So yeah, that was rough. But anyway, I'm going to end this one here, and I'll be back in just a moment for my second episode. Peace.